Hello and welcome to Frank's School. 67th day of the 5th year, first only video today. And I'm going on. Resurrection of the movie begins. I'm going to actually start to tell the story of this movie. Yesterday my German was, and the black cat's here ready to help again. I don't know if you can see him yet. His name is Thor. My German wasn't quite right yesterday. Aller Anfang ist schwer. Everything beginning is hard. This is a little hard to translate, but anyway, I have begun. So I'm past the schwer part. This word wasn't, it was down on the screen, you couldn't see it. Wordless. This movie will have no words. At the beginning, I guess the word resurrection would have to be on the screen. I guess, I don't think there's any way around that. The movie needs to have a name, so I guess it would say resurrection. And you know, when it comes time for the credits, well, then words have to take over. But really, I'm serious about wordless. Here and there, maybe on a sign in the distance or something, words may appear, but no spoken words throughout the movie. Now, why that is, I'll do a lot of explaining about this movie as I go, but let me have it begin. The first thing that the viewer will see is hands. There's going to be a cat fight here. Hands, a set of hands, a close-up of hands, folded like this maybe, or like this, and they're over a stick. They're resting on a walking stick, and it would be a close-up of those hands, maybe, I don't know, part of the forearm. And casting becomes important right away. What do those hands look like? Hands say so much about a person. What should those hands look like? I think my hands, the fingers are too skinny for my purposes. I thought, well, why don't you just use your own hands? Nah, I don't know. My hands say lots, but they don't say what would need to be said here, I don't think. I've thought about my neighbor, Jack. I haven't looked closely at his hands, but it wouldn't matter. I also thought about the man I work with a lot, Andy. His hands are like mine. The fingers are thin and delicate, but do I want them strong and tough? I'm just not sure. But they should look old, because these are the hands of an old man. Well, with that with that close-up of the hands, and I have no idea how long it would be. You wouldn't want to make it too long. I have no experience with making movies. But then the camera would zoom out. And another thing, would the right hand be on top or the left hand be on top? Is this person right-handed or left-handed? I don't know. That would have to be decided. And you will hear a sound. I had said this is wordless, but it will be full of sound. As a matter of fact, the soundtrack is probably the second most important thing in the entire movie, right after the visual, since there's no words. I'll say more about that later, but you'll hear a drum. And it's a drum not hit with a stick, but hit with a hand, with thumbs, and it's probably slow. Yeah, almost certainly slow. And there's a reason for that. Come on, Thor. Come on, you're going to block. So you'll hear a drum. Now, the camera zooms out, and then you see an old man's face. You'll see the face of the man whose hands are there. Once again, and his eyes. Once again, casting is so important here. Oh boy, there probably is going to be a cat fight. I might just let it go. You'll hear it. Get loud. Come on, kitty. Anyway, casting is so important. Once again, of all the people that I know, my neighbor Jack, some kind of an ideal world, I think I would use. He's pushing 60. He's maybe 60 years old, and he has a face. It would be real nice if the face had those, what do you call them, crow's feet, and looked weather-beaten somewhat. He's the one that comes to mind. But casting would become so important. And the fact that he's of Syrian extraction would help a lot here. Um, anyway, you zoom out, and the eyes are very important. And throughout the movie, faces and eyes and hands are going to be so important in this movie. Maybe he has a dog. Probably he should have a dog. As the zooming comes out, there should probably be a dog there with him. Maybe a scruffy looking thing. I don't know. You know, as you can see, I'm going to describe this movie, but if people make comments or have suggestions, great, I'll take them in, because this is a work in progress. It'll zoom out and maybe still zoom out a little bit further to see that this man has a small flock of goats that are somewhere around him, but he's just sitting there still. Then the camera will go back in. Oh, the drum is going, and by now there's probably also a tune of some kind, but maybe not. It could only be the drum still. Then the zoom back into the old man's eyes, and it'll be clear that the old man is looking at something far away. He's looking at something. And it would be the introduction of character number 1 of 7. The character does have a name, which I'll eventually give you the name, because but in the movie you wouldn't know his name, because that would be a word. But in the credits or whatever, in the description of it, and this character actually has a prior existence in fiction. It's not the first time that he's appeared. He's a character of my own creation. He's character number 1 of 7. In a way, there are going to be 4 other characters, maybe, but at least there's going to be 11 that have leitmotifs in the soundtrack, tunes, and instruments, timbres, I think you would call it, instruments and timbres. That word timbre, I should probably write it. I never know exactly how to say it. And maybe, and probably plus a few more characters at the end, but mostly those. Well, that's enough, and maybe this would be tantalizing to you. Say, well, what's the man looking at? Well, I'll tell you tomorrow. That will be character number 2. Bye for now.